strangers. I'm Britt.
And I'm Dee.
Welcome to another episode of It's a Strange World After All. The podcast where we discuss true crime cases, the supernatural, urban legends, conspiracy theories, and all of the things that keep the world strange. We have come to the end of the month of June.
Yep.
That's intense, yeah. All month long, in honor of Pride Month, we have shared stories centered around those in the LGBTQ plus community. And today is the last episode in, I guess we'll call it our Pride Month series.
In today's episode, we discuss the San Antonio Four. Four lesbian women, Elizabeth Ramirez, Cassandra Rivera, Kristie Mayhugh, and Anna Vasquez, wrongfully convicted of gang raping two little girls in San Antonio, Texas.
Yep, your hometown.
Technically you too.
I was not born in San Antonio.
I know.
I just be repping. Yeah, I first heard about this, like 4 years ago?
That sounds about right.
Yeah, just at work trying to find different documentaries because I'm obsessed with documentaries or true crime documentaries or stuff like that.
Yeah, because you told me about this one.
Yes, because I couldn't believe it. It was like almost like, what's the one we did for Black History Month? And now I can't think of the name.
The Anthony Porter?
Yeah, Anthony Porter. All I can remember is I want $100 million. That's all I could think of. Yeah, that one.
A Murder in the Park. Yeah.
Yes. I was just like, what is happening? And how did they let this happen? Like, how did it get this far?
Yeah, that was a bit much.
Yes.
But we'll get into it.
Elizabeth Ramirez had just gotten home from her shift at Arby's when she heard a knock on her door. The man introduced himself as Detective Thomas Mayhugh from the San Antonio Police Department. He was with the homicide unit. He told Elizabeth he was helping investigate a sex crime and needed her to come to the station to answer a few questions.
Elizabeth, who had just turned 20 and was 4 months pregnant, got into the police car and they headed to the station. Detective Mayhugh asked her if she knew a man named Javier Limon and his two daughters. Javier was her sister's ex-boyfriend, and his two daughters were her 7 and 9-year-old nieces.
The detective explained to Elizabeth that her nieces were accusing her and a few of her friends of sexually abusing them. About a month prior, they had spent a week at Elizabeth's apartment. This is when the alleged assault took place. As interrogation went on, the questions became more personal.
He asked her if she had been in a lesbian relationship, had she ever left her nieces under the care of her friends, and were they also lesbians? She answered yes to all of these questions. He went on to tell Elizabeth that if she had committed a crime, her son would probably be taken from her. Yeah.
A few days later, in September 1994, Elizabeth's friends Cassandra Rivera and Anna Vasquez met at a park. Because they were in a relationship in conservative San Antonio, they rarely showed any PDA. However, Anna was touchy that day, and Cassandra, who goes by Cassie, could sense that something was wrong. That's when Anna told her the bad news. They were also being accused of sexually assaulting Elizabeth's nieces.
I don't even know what to say about that. Because honestly, even though we just started, they don't have a case.
No.
Like, all they have to go on, they did say that they were assaulted, but I don't know. It's just starting off like weird for me.
Yeah, because it really is, just like all they have to go off is the testimony of those little girls, and then now the fact that they are lesbians. That's literally all you have.
Mhm.
And then back then it was like, oh, homosexuals are like freaks. You know what I mean? Like, oh, they have
Yeah.
to be a part of this. It sounds like something they would do, like molest children. And it's like, mm.
Yeah.
And the fact that the girls are, is it Liz's niece? Yeah, Liz's
Yeah, her nieces.
nieces.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Like, and that's not to take away from any survivors that have been molested by women in their family, but statistically speaking, it's not a high number. Like, and that's really, it's, yeah, like you said, it's just a really weird accusation.
Yeah. Kristie Mayhugh, Elizabeth's roommate, was at her mom's apartment in Rosenberg, Texas, when police surrounded the building and ordered her out. All four women were indicted for sexually assaulting Elizabeth's nieces. Of course, they all denied the accusations. They were confused because the four of them had rarely been in Elizabeth's apartment at the same time, but the girls were claiming all four women were present.
The women were offered plea deals of 10 years probation, but they refused and decided to go to trial. They couldn't help but wonder where these accusations came from.
According to Elizabeth, the girl's father, Javier, had been making advances towards her. Javier would offer Elizabeth rides, give her money, leave long messages on her answering machine, and offered to marry her. He was even sending her love letters. She said she rejected his advances every time.
Javier is her sister's ex-husband.
Yeah,
So those are her, yeah, her
yeah.
sister's daughters. And then
Hmm.
apparently those advances started when she was still in high school. And Javier is older than Liz. So
Yeah. So if anything, he's the pervert.
he's the one that's making advances at an underage girl.
Yeah.
And yeah, why would you make advances at your ex-wife, well, your wife's sister? Because I would assume that they were still married at the time, like in high school, when she
Yeah, I
was in
think
high
so.
school.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
So Elizabeth tells Detective Majeka about Javier's advances, um but he didn't think much of it. So he basically just dismissed it because,
Mm.
I mean, in which it would still be like, mm, that's a lot for someone to do, for you just turning them down if he had anything to do with this.
Yeah. He still should have looked into it though.
Question him.
Yeah.
So, and during all of this, Elizabeth gave birth to her son. He was almost 2 years old when her trial date was set. The trial would begin in February 1997.
The young girl's father, Javier, gave a testimony that claimed that after his daughter spent the week at Elizabeth's place, he didn't notice anything out of the ordinary at first. He said that one day while he was at work, his mother, Serafina Lamone, was cooking as the girls were playing outside. One of the girls came in and said that her sister was playing with dolls in an inappropriate way. The girl was undressing them and making them kiss. Serafina asked her if she knew where her sister learned this. She said, "I can't tell you because something happened and they threatened me."
That the daughter is saying this.
Yeah.
Man, I'ma say this. I didn't have like boy dolls, like Ken dolls.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah.
So like when I played with my dolls, if I was playing house, they was two wives. Like they was just, kids don't know no better, like,
Yeah.
at all. And that
I was
isn't
going
to
to say, I
say,
feel like every girl did that though.
like,
Yeah.
you come home after a long Barbie came home after a long day of work. Teresa had the meal on the table. Her and
Yeah.
Teresa, you don't even really understand sex like that when you're a kid. It's just like,
Yeah.
man, I think this is what people do. Male,
That's
female, it don't
true
matter.
though. Yeah.
Betty Spaghetti. Man, I don't know.
Oh man. Yeah.
When Javier got home from work, his daughter told him a shocking story of being held down and raped. Javier took them to the hospital and the police station. During the trial, Javier's oldest daughter, identified as VL, testified that after a few days at Elizabeth's apartment, Elizabeth called her into the bedroom and started yelling at her. She claimed that the women were drinking tequila and were topless. VL also said there were liquids, powders, and different things. So to indicate that there were possible
Drugs,
drugs.
maybe?
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
thinking.
Yeah.
Um,
And we should have put a trigger warning or
I was gonna say
something.
that.
Yeah. Because it gets a little graphic.
Yeah, it does get a little graphic. I also just want to say too that in like researching this, someone made up a good point that like the claim that Javier's daughter made about like what she saw kind of felt like not that it came from a child, like it kind of almost felt that it came from a man. Like it felt like how men
Hmm.
would envision, like how a heterosexual male would envision lesbians hanging out. Like, oh, they were hanging out topless and
Yeah, I
drinking
never
and
thought of it like that. Yeah.
yeah,
But that makes sense though.
something to think about. Like, yeah, they were having pillow
Yeah.
fights, like just overly sexualized. No, but like just
Yeah.
overly sexualized. Like,
Yeah. Cause it made me think of that 70s show, because it was an episode like that where the girls had a sleepover and
mm-hmm.
the guys were like saying what they thought was happening, and of course it was like they were in lingerie having pillow fights and
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, that sounds about right. The women then held her down and started kissing her and putting cold liquid stuff inside her and inserted a tampon into her vagina. VL testified that at some point during the assault, her father called. While she was on the phone with him, Elizabeth allegedly held a gun to her head and she was forced to say that everything was fine.
I
Yeah,
just
I don't even know what to make of all of this,
yeah.
cuz it's very, for a child, it is very detailed.
It is really detailed, which would lead you to believe that it actually happened.
Yeah.
Um and then it's not like
Or
no, go ahead. Sorry.
or it's too detailed to be coming from a child. I know they were 7 and 9, but still, I think it's too much detail. A child will probably, I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say?
Kind
It's too correct. Like everything
oh,
is, yeah.
like would a child even know what a tampon is? Like to call it a tampon, maybe too. One of like that's
Stuff
really
like that,
specific
yeah.
too.
And if it was coming from him, I feel like he's trying to throw it off by saying like liquid stuff
I was
and
just about to say,
yeah.
because is that supposed to be like lube? Is that what that's
Yeah.
insinuating?
That's what I'm thinking, yeah. Cuz that's what it sounds like.
I don't know too, and it's tough too because it's not. It makes me think of like the is it McMartin preschool
Mhm.
because it's not so far fetched. Like it's not like oh they were riding
Yeah.
horses. That's not riding like tigers or so. I don't know. Like what they
Yeah.
were saying, it's like stuff that could actually happen.
Yeah.
But then too, I don't know. They were older, and she kept them off and on. Like why hadn't it happened before?
Mhm.
Also, I just why what would be her motive to do this to her nieces, like and she's a
Yeah.
mom herself, like
Yep.
and again not to say that moms couldn't sexually assault children by any means, but I don't know. And
I
if
know
you
what you mean.
yeah, and if you see like the interviews with these women, it's just like I don't know, and I'm a good judge of character. It's not
Yeah, because this one is tough because you don't know who to believe.
right, no, because like you said, why would these kids be saying stuff, and allegedly they came
Yeah.
to tell Javier
Yeah.
this. Yeah. After the phone call, VL was ordered to take a shower. In the bathroom, she could hear the screams from her younger sister. Javier's youngest daughter, identified as SL, was not called to testify. I wonder why.
I think because she was too young.
Okay.
And I guess they say they didn't want to put her through that again. But the other girl was young. They were what, 2 years, 7? Yeah, 2 years apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know why one testified and the other didn't, but I think I was going to say something about, oh yeah, these are just their initials, but their names were in the articles. I just didn't put it because they were supposed to be anonymous.
Okay, I was like, they had their names all in the documentary too.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I didn't put the names.
They grown now.
Yeah, that's true, but still, they were supposed to be anonymous.
Oh, okay.
Dr. Nancy Kellogg, a professor of pediatrics at the University of Texas Health Science Center in San Antonio, testified that when she examined the girls, she saw evidence of a healed scar on VL's hymen. Dr. Kellogg stated that the scar was physical evidence of sexual molestation. She also speculated that the acts were satanic related. So yeah, this was a part of the whole satanic panic back then.
Yeah.
Which is so people. Just because people are lesbians or whatever does not mean that they are Satanists or whatever you want to call it. Like what kind of logic is that?
That was the logic that they had back then because they believed it was an abomination. So you must be practicing some Satan rituals like that. And what's crazy is this was like towards the end of the satanic panic. It was starting to die down, and then this happened. And you talking about Texas. And Texas is Texasing now. So it's just like,
yes, because that whole stuff, well, we'll get into that with Sam Winchester.
Oh, sharp.
Yeah, he's in trouble now, but we'll get into it. Yeah.
During cross-examination, Dr. Kellogg admitted that she couldn't tell how old the scar was or if it was the result of an accident, but she insisted the scar indicated sexual abuse. So they had a professional she was like an author, but she researches stuff like that as it pertains to like evidence and sexual abuse evidence. And she basically explained that during that time, so like the 80s, 90s, there was a model for what a child's hymen should look like. So for what a virgin's hymen should look like. So anything that deviated from that model would be seen as like abnormal. And they would deem it as like sexual abuse. So anything. So like if you, I don't know, had a tricycle accident. I'm not trying to I couldn't think of anything else.
I was just about to say.
Yeah, or like a bicycle accident and tore your hymen, then they would believe that it was sexual abuse.
Yeah, I was just about to say that because it could come from anything, really.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, luckily we're more advanced now.
Yeah, I was like, man, that ain't even that long ago, but still, like the fact that DNA evidence has come so far, and it's just like, man. On February 6, 1997, Elizabeth Ramirez was convicted of aggravated assault of a child and indecency with a child. She was sentenced to 37 years in prison. I cannot imagine her mental state, because it's like, these are your nieces, you love these girls, but then it's like, now your life is pretty much over. Now you're about to spend 37 years in prison for something that you are adamant didn't happen.
Yeah, and she just had her son.
Yes, so she sure did.
Yep.
Yeah, he's
not 2? Just had him, but he was about 2. But that's young. He probably would have been about 3.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think maybe he was 3 or 4 at the time that she went to jail, because I think she mentions, like, I have not held him since he was 4. Like, can you imagine?
That's sad.
It's upsetting.
All because a man was rejected.
Allegedly, yes.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
A year later, in February 1998, Cassie, Anna, and Kristie were tried together in Bexar County Criminal District Court. This time, both girls would testify that they were sexually molested, and Dr. Kellogg, I'm sorry, her name, I just keep thinking of
Oh,
cereal,
because
Frosted
yeah,
Flakes. And
yeah.
my bad. Dr. Kellogg testified again about the physical evidence of abuse. All three women denied the allegations and told the jury that they spent that week doing normal things like shopping and having lunch at Arby's.
That's where Elizabeth worked.
Yeah. And she had just got her promotion and everything.
Oh, yeah, Arby's.
Yeah.
They also testified they were never all there at the same time. On February 14th, 1998, Kristie Mayhugh, Cassie Rivera, and Anna Vasquez were convicted of aggravated sexual assault of a child and indecency with a child. Each woman was sentenced to 15 years in prison. And I believe that for a while they had kept filing like appeals to keep themselves like out of prison while they were still trying to clear their name. So like, yeah, I want to say maybe for 2 years. Like, I'm trying to think of when they actually went to jail. I don't think maybe it was until 2000 or at 90. But I just know that they were out because they kept filing for appeals, trying to clear themselves as innocent, and then trying to get Elizabeth out as well.
Yeah. In 2006, Daryl Otto, a biologist from the Yukon, which is in Canada, I believe, who was studying female sex offenders, found out about the case. He began corresponding with them, and the more they talked, he became convinced they were innocent. In 2008, he submitted a request for assistance to the National Center for Reason and Justice. The organization was co-founded by Debbie Nathan, who wrote a book about satanic ritual abuse cases.
It was Debbie Nathan. Debbie Nathan was the one that I had mentioned about the like what the hymen should look like, and about how the girls described what happened to them, and that it kind of sounded more like it was coming from a heterosexual adult male.
Okay.
That's who it was. In 2010, Debbie interviewed SL and she recanted her trial testimony. SL said that she and her sister were pressured by their father, Javier, to make false claims of abuse. She said she went along with it because she was 7 and scared. Yeah, I mean, if there was a lot of pressure coming from her dad and her grandma, you're taught to abide by adults, so
yeah,
that's believable.
Yeah.
And the fact that you wouldn't actually understand like the severity of what was happening. Like, I don't think they actually understood like that someone's life, like those ladies' lives were at stake. Like, you were putting them away for the rest of their, or for a long time.
Yeah, that Javier, where is he at now?
That's a good question.
He needs to be in somebody's prison because, yeah, you did all that, costing the state money.
I was gonna say
because you got rejected. He should either have to like pay their legal fees or sit in prison.
I was gonna say it should be like a felon. Isn't reported or making a false report? Isn't that a crime?
That's what I'm saying. Like something has to happen to him. Over the next 2 years, the National Center for Reason and Justice raised public attention and support for the women, and they became known as the San Antonio Four. In 2011, lawyers for the Innocence Project of Texas accepted the case and started a complete reinvestigation. Debbie also contacted filmmaker Deb Esquenazi, who began filming a real-time documentary titled Southwest of Salem, which was released in 2016. Which is a good documentary. People go watch it.
Oh yeah, it's a great documentary. That was what I watched a couple of years ago, and then I watched it before we did this emotional documentary towards the end there. I was like, I ain't gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. I did it.
Oh.
I couldn't say. I was just like, oh, it's just too much. And then it's just complicated because it's his family, not Javier. Fuck Javier. But
Oh
like
yeah.
the nieces, because it's just like, man, like, how do you,
Yeah.
how do we get past this?
Yeah, because I was like, I don't know how I would feel. Because yeah, well it technically well, it's just complicated because they are the reason that you're in prison, but they're not.
Right.
It's Javier.
Right.
He
They were
just used
manipulated.
them. Yeah.
Hmm. And
So
they were children. So,
yeah.
but yeah, watch that. It's available. It was available on Hulu for a while.
It's on
I don't.
Tubi.
I was just about to say that's what I watched it
Yeah.
on was Tubi, which is free. So,
Yeah.
and then they started filming in like what 2000? Like they filmed over the course of
Yeah,
some years,
because
or 2007, 6, 7.
yeah.
Attorney Mike Ware spent 2 years reinvestigating the case. He consulted with Astrid Heger, a professor of clinical pediatrics at the University of Southern California Keck School of Medicine, and an expert in the evaluation of child abuse. Mike Ware was able to obtain copies of the original photographs taken of the girls during their 1994 examinations by Dr. Kellogg.
When Astrid examined the photograph, she concluded that there was no evidence of any trauma. When Dr. Kellogg was confronted with these findings, she signed a sworn affidavit saying that if she had known then what she learned about sexual abuse forensics, she wouldn't have testified that the evidence showed any signs the girls had been molested. Ma'am. Well, I guess she
Ma'am.
didn't know.
No.
That's what she
She
going with.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
basically, yeah, because the science at that time wasn't like it was when they re-examined them. So I'll give her that.
Yeah.
They should have to though. That might be a little tedious because I was gonna say they should have to go back without someone prompting them to do that. To just do like, what am I trying to say? Like reviews or something, or audit yourself. Like, cause the only reason she caught this is because they pushed to rescind that. Like, I don't know. I feel like they
Oh,
should have to do, especially if it was something where like DNA or something like that was like a primary reason why someone was in jail. They should have to like do audits or something on that. Like have someone come back through a couple of years later
yeah.
and say, okay, it still stand today. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just
Yeah, I get it.
wishful thinking. Okay, so this meant that so Dr. Kellogg's findings meant that SL's recantation was corroborated by physical evidence. The Innocence Project of Texas had the 4 women take polygraph tests. When they denied the allegations, they were all deemed to be truthful. They also had psychological examinations that revealed that none of them had any characteristics of or traits consistent with pedophiles or sex offenders, which they didn't seem to. Even their
Yeah.
lifestyle didn't seem
Yeah.
like they were always around like family and different people and things like that. So it's
Yep.
like, when would you have even had the time to do this? But then I guess they were saying, oh, they were all together and did this, but it was really far fetched.
It was. The expert who conducted the examinations came to the conclusion that the women didn't commit the crime and that they would never have committed the crime. SL was psychologically evaluated by Dr. Alexandria Doyle, and she determined that her recantation was truthful and reliable.
The San Antonio Four were released on bail in November 2013. On November 23rd, 2016, the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals vacated the convictions of the 4 women. The court declared that the women were innocent and that they are exonerated. At first, though, they had to go back and see the judge that they first had their first trial with, and he basically said that it wasn't enough. He didn't feel like the evidence was enough to say that they were innocent, and that's why they
Yeah.
ended up going to the Court of Criminal Appeals.
Yeah. Because they had to go through a lot, even though they were free, they had to go through a lot to get exonerated
Yeah.
so that, their records could be like wiped because they were still, when they got out, they were sex offenders.
Yeah. They had
which was
to
messed
follow
up.
all those. It was messed up
Yep.
because they had to follow all those. Like you couldn't be alone with anyone under the age of 17, and you couldn't
Yep.
be within certain feet of schools. And yeah, there's a lot that goes with that.
Yeah. So yeah, and it took what, 3 years? Yeah, that was 3 years
Yeah,
for them to
I
get
feel like
fully
they,
exonerated.
I feel like they do all that so that people won't be exonerated, so that they don't have to like have the risk of them suing them. I feel like usually they're just like, okay, you were released. Like, hopefully that's enough. Like, no, I'm
Yeah.
innocent. I don't know. You finna give me a full pardon. You finna
Yeah.
exonerate me so I can get back to try to have some normal
Yeah,
life.
because then like that makes it harder to get jobs. It's just a lot you got to deal with.
You can't do nothing. The most they could probably have done was get like a laborer's job, like as a
Yeah.
janitor, maybe. Well, yeah, because you
No,
couldn't work
well,
at a
not at a
school.
school, but yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking, I don't know why only janitors only work at schools. Like,
Yeah.
mm,
The San Antonio Four were awarded compensation by the state of Texas. Here we go. Kristie received $1,073,000 and a monthly annuity of $5,100. So that, wait, because I was trying to figure out what that meant. So does that mean she gets that a month until it reaches that amount of the 1 million? Or does she get the 1 million plus the
oh,
monthly?
I thought it was the 1 million plus a monthly annuity.
That's what okay.
But for how long is that until you? It better be until I die.
Hopefully. Cause yeah, that you can't put a price on freedom. Well, you technically you can. I want all my money. But pay me
No, yeah,
until
you
I
gonna pay
die.
me.
Yeah.
You the way you said that sounded like, I don't know, like an activist. Like, you can't put a price on freedom. That's how you sound. You just can't.
I mean, you can't though. Elizabeth received, and I think she got the most because, yeah, she got the most time. So Elizabeth
Yeah.
received $1,346,000 and a monthly annuity of $6,300. Cassie received $1,080,000 and a monthly annuity of $5,000. Anna received $1,104,000 and a monthly annuity of $5,100. On December 3rd, 2018, the four women had their criminal records expunged. So really, they were exonerated in 2016, but then it took them another 2 years for them to have their records wiped clean.
I was just about to ask why it took
So
so long
technically, they were still sex offenders after they were fully exonerated.
for that whole time.
Yeah, I don't know why that took so long.
And yeah, and luckily it didn't. I will say though, luckily it didn't take that long after they were released for them to get that settlement. It doesn't, because sometimes it feels like it takes
Oh, yeah.
years.
Yeah. Because what's his name? Was it Joseph? Joseph Richardson?
Mm-hmm.
It took him, I don't even know if he still even got his money. He did, but it took him a long time.
Yeah. I'm going to just say, to make me feel better, we're going to say it was the millions plus.
The monthly
Yeah.
amount.
Even still, I mean, that's something with a clean record and with that amount of money. No, it
Yeah.
doesn't make what happened to them right, but you can at least try to salvage your
Yeah.
life, like get your life back on track. Final thoughts. I had a note for final thoughts, but we had already talked about that because it was about the satanic panic.
Oh, I don't really have any final thought. I just think that people need to learn how to accept rejection. Like, you got rejected. It's not that bad. Don't manipulate your children into sending people to prison. Just quit being a pervert because she was underage and just, she rejected you. Just move on.
Yeah, that's true.
Not just men, women too. Everybody needs to learn how to handle rejection.
Rejection.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get what you're
Because
saying.
I've been rejected in life plenty of times and I'm not.
Many a times.
Yeah. Do I care? No. There you go.
Dropping gems, dropping knowledge. Like I said, I think he's crazy though. He's abusive.
Yeah.
Probably mentally abusive. That's probably why her sister wasn't with him anymore. And then I think it came out that he lied. Like this was just like something that he did. Like he manipulated maybe his ex-wife and then or the courts and then lied, and that's why he had custody. That's why him and the grandma had custody and not the sister.
And his grandma trifling too. Well, no, his mom, I mean. Their grandma. Yeah.
I want to say she trifling, but
she is.
I honestly think that she thought that something happened. So like in the documentary, it comes up because he tried to say, they interview him and he tried to say he never talked to them about it. Like basically that's not what happened. He didn't tell them what to say. He never talked to them about it. What happened was he heard what happened with the toys and they came and said that something bad happened, and that he was just like, okay, well, we're just going to go to the police so you can report it to the police. He said he had never even heard their testimony because even when they sat on the stand, he was not in there. He wasn't allowed to be in the room. So he doesn't know like what was said. The grandma said the same thing, but I honestly do believe the grandma. Because even the way she described what happened, or the way that SL described what happened, is that they were playing, and not that the sister went to go say something, but that the grandma walked in on them and was basically like, what are you doing? How, like, who you done seen?
Yeah.
Like, what? Let's talk. Yeah, let's talk. Who you done seen? Who have you seen? Sorry, I've been watching P Valley. So my accent. Who have you seen to do this? And then it was just like, oh well, they were over there with a bunch of lesbians, so something happened. But I don't trust that. I don't know. Javier, he's
sketchy.
Liar. He's a liar.
He just looks. Ugh.
That's why I was looking at him and I was like, he looked like he lying. But then I was like, is it because I know he's lying? Like he was sitting in the interview like this, like I don't even know. I don't even know what they said. Because they asked the grandma about the tampon thing and she was like, I don't know anything about that. Like I don't know anything about a tampon, anything about that. And then the dad was like, Javier was like, I don't know because they didn't tell me. Somebody lying.
Somebody. All of them.
Is lying. And then I stand behind the fact that they just didn't strike me as individuals that would do something like that. And I'm glad that we've come further in society to where it's not like, oh well, these people are perverts, like you can't leave your children with them or they can't have their own children. No, that's not. Again, like we said before, we're all just human beings. There are some bad people. There are some good people too, but it has nothing to do with your skin color. It has nothing to do with your sexual orientation. Nothing. We're just people at the end of the day. Watch that documentary and get your life. Bring some tissues, because when they reunite with their family, I was just like, Lord Jesus. Oh, she hadn't seen her grandbaby. She met her grandbaby. I was just like, oh, so much time.
Yeah, that's right.
So much time passed.
This whole thing is just sad.
Should never have happened.
Yeah.
That's it. Oh, well, that's
what?
That is all, folks.
What did you say?
I didn't say nothing. I just made a noise with my mouth, but I didn't say anything.
Okay. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at It's a Strange World Podcast, Twitter at Pod Strange World, and on Facebook and TikTok at It's a Strange World After All. Also, turn on those notifications for our Instagram posts so that you can keep up with our hashtag Myth Mondays and hashtag Strange Saturdays posts.
Yes, we would love to hear from you. If there's anything in the world of strange or any true crime cases that you would like us to cover, let us know. Have you ever heard a strange bump in the night? Have you ever seen shadow figures moving about? Have you ever stumbled upon something unexplainable? We want to know about it, and with your permission, share it with our listeners. You can email those submissions to itsastrangeworldafterall@gmail.com or DM us at any other social media platforms D mentioned. Even if you just want to say hey there, we'll be here. We will. Oh, and thank you again to @GravesLavette, I think is how you say that, on Instagram for sharing. Okay, for sharing your experience with sleep paralysis.
Thank you, and keep them coming.
Keep them coming.
Thank you for tuning into another episode of
It's a Strange World After All. And thank you, as always, for keeping it strange with us. Thank you for celebrating Pride Month with us. If this is your first time listening, stick around.
Please.
Because there's more where that came from. We'll get back to the supernatural stuff. Maybe we'll kick off next month with something.
Okay.
Supernatural. All right. Bye.
Bye.